it starts.
I made an.
Okay, we're live.
Good.
Hi everyone. Now I'm going to start with a quick update, and then whoever wants can jump in, and then open mic as usual. So in the past couple of weeks, we've had a few issues that we saw. One of them, for example, we saw that the co-stats library in Jitsi Video Bridge was leaking memory. So if anyone's using that on a bridge, make sure it's not currently enabled. I don't think anyone would be because it's still very experimental, but just a heads up. Also, a few miscellaneous pieces of news. So Pavel gave direct connections a try last week. Basically, the idea is that in one-to-one conferences, we're going to start through the bridge, then try to establish a connection directly. We actually do those things simultaneously, and whichever one connects first wins. So we keep both connections open, and we use the direct peer connection when there are only two participants in the call, and switch to the bridge peer connection in other cases. And it turns out that this is not half as horrible as we would have expected. So we might want to, we'll probably want to work on it a little bit more in the next 6 to 8 weeks.
You actually send media on both at the same time, both connections at the same time, or?
You can, but then that might have side effects, right?
Right.
You might saturate your connection faster. The idea is that you would only, if you do that, it would only be for a short time while you're switching between the two peer connections. And when I said you keep both of them alive, I just meant that there's ICE connectivity, keep alive on it, consent checks, and but the media would only go through one of them. And the whole point being that you should be able to switch very quickly from the direct one to the other one if someone else enters. I personally find this subject fascinating because it's contrary to regular ICE processing where it's a very directed procedure. You're starting from one and you got to find a winner and then use that winner. And it has to be the right one every time. In this case, it's just you start with the bridge and everything else is just an optimization. And the point is to reduce traffic through your platform. So if it works, it works in a direct connection. If it doesn't, no big deal. So there's no concerns for latency, no concerns for success rate or anything like that. However many percent of the time it happens to work, it will be an optimization. So looking at it that way is makes it pretty low stress and interesting. So we haven't finished the data channel indications for connection quality, although those probably need like 2 or 3 days of work max. They're on Pavel's list. Actually, why don't I let Hristo and Lubo worked on modifying libjitsi meet and making it ES6. Would you guys like to talk a little bit about this?
Okay, so we have added ES6 support and started to rewrite some of the classes there. Let's say 20% of the code now is ES6, maybe, but the other code is not changed yet. So maybe in the future, slowly we are going to rewrite the other code as well.
Oh, well, there's currently a bug introduced by the VRI. There's a PR for it, so you maybe want to hold for some hours until it merges.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear what you said about merging.
The libjitsi is currently broken, and it needs a PR to be merged.
Okay, so this is in master, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So we're going to try and let's try and fix that today. Okay. George, would you? So George experimented a little bit with integrating simulcast for Firefox. Had a few interesting findings. George, would you like to talk a little bit about this?
Yeah, we gave it a try last week. So there is some work in the IDF to standardize how you signal and how you do simulcast. Firefox is, if we take that as the standard way to do simulcast, Firefox is being the most standard one. The way it works is, well, Firefox has the unified plan syntax, so it has nothing. The SDP looks like nothing. It doesn't look like Chrome's SDP.
Well, I like the expression. The SDP looks like nothing. That's that's a good way to describe unified plan. I'm sorry, troll alert.
Okay. I hope nobody would notice that. No, I'm kidding now as well. Yeah, so they have something. They have this notion of RID, which stands for Stream Identifier. And they do simulcast with that. So on top of all the identifiers we have for streams, like SSRCs, MSIDs, CNAMEs, now we have this new one, which is called RID, and that's how they're doing simulcast. You define multiple streams with different RIDs, define different resolutions, frame rates for the same media source, and you assign them RIDs. And then you pack them together with the simulcast attribute in the SDP. So in order for that to work with our system, we need to make changes both at the client and at the server, because the server needs to differentiate between the streams using the RID and not the SRC, as we do right now. The problem so Firefox, how it's sending simulcast, it's sending with multiple SSRCs, but they are unannounced. They don't announce the SSRCs. They only announce one SSRC in the SDP, which is the fallback SSRC in case the receiver doesn't support simulcast. So the other 3 or 4 or n SSRCs, they are not announced. You only have the RIDs, which are announced, and you actually set them. The problem is that currently Firefox has a bug that, even though in their code, on their side, they are setting the RID, the web it's an RTP header. So the WebRTC.org implementation doesn't take that into account, and actually at the RTP level, you have no way to, well, there's always a way, but there's no easy way to differentiate between the different simulcast streams. So currently, in that sense, currently simulcast is broken for Firefox, and that put not so glorious end to our tries to implement that Firefox support for simulcast.
Thanks, George.
Yeah.
Would you like to talk a little bit about your ongoing work on probing?
Yeah. So we have been reading the WebRTC.org implementation for probing. There are some things that we need to change in our implementation. Experimental one, it's not even committed to the bridge, but we have a few things in mind, like we need to continuous probe. Yeah, well, how it works actually, in a more general sense. So what we're trying to do, is, so we're sending, let's say, 2.5 megabits, a high resolution stream to a receiver. There's congestion. We drop that. We drop that stream. We only send a low quality stream, and then we want to detect when the congestion clears, so that we can resume the high quality stream. The problem here is that we need to convince. There is a congestion control algorithm that runs, and It runs on both sides, the sender and the receiver. The receiver, it's a delay-based controller, and based on the jitter it receives, it estimates how much bandwidth the sender has, and it sends RMB messages to cap the bitrate the sender is sending. So when we drop to low quality stream and we're sending 180p, for example, we're sending how much? Let's say 300 kilobits maximum per second. The RMBs that the receiver is sending are very low, and they're not. So we cap the sending bitrate to a very low value, very small value. We need to be able to convince the receiver to send higher RMB values, and when we do that with probing, we send crop. By probing, what we mean is we're sending crop data to, well, not necessarily crop data, it can be useful data, but we're sending, let's say, crop data, padding packets, padding RTP packets to the receiver, because based on the amount that the data is receiving, the receiver is going to adjust its RMB values. So we need to understand how this works. This is a work in progress. We do have an implementation that's not working very well, and we have identified a few things that we want to change to make this work better. So I can go into specifics of that.
Yeah, let's see if there are any questions on this. In the meantime, Yana is not joining today, but she has done an almost complete overhaul of the user interface for Meet. Well, complete. It still sort of looks the same, but it's significantly reorganized. This is in collaboration with the HipChat designers. So you guys can all look forward to that. I personally like very much the new way of doing things. Is Boris there?
I am, yeah.
Yeah. Would you like to? Is there anything you'd like to talk about?
Not really.
Can I see who else is in the room, please? Okay. Any of you guys want to share? Oh, Damien, why don't you talk a little bit about what you did during Ship It?
I implemented well, George and Emil has started it, but I integrated it in Meet and with Jitsi. Talk while muted detection. So if you're muted and you start talking, notification will show you that you're trying to talk while muted. So that's it. The PR is ready, and maybe it will be merged these days.
Yeah, can you make sure that it gets merged, because this is actually important to have. Sam, would you like to say anything about the Ghibli rewrite, or would you like to keep that till next time? Your call.
There's not much to say. Just been putting together a document comparing different things we could use, how we want, just kind of exploring options for where we want to take Ghibli in the future, and how we could improve its reliability with a rewrite. But there's not really anything specific.
Okay. So hopefully we should be looking at the first prototype in a couple of weeks, right? And maybe we can talk more about the implementation then.
Yeah, I think we'll probably want to set up a meeting first to actually decide what we're going to do, how we're going to do it.
Sure. Okay. Lubo, would you like to talk a little bit about the progress on mobile?
Yeah, so the last week didn't see much progress because of the Atlassian's internal things, but the previous week I worked on fixing multiple issues with video on Android, so that because they weren't actually showing anything on Android, so I fixed multiple. I rehauled the whole video rendering thing. And last week, upstream updated to WebRTC 53. So now I'm actually crashing tracks that move, and that's pretty much it.
Okay. All right. Well, is there anyone else who would like to share something? And if not, then open microphone. Any questions?
So we did find George. I think I had pinged you about this, or maybe Miriam had talked to you. But it does look like that when mixing is enabled, we don't get any RTCP for audio. So we haven't filed anything for that yet. I think Miriam did a quick little like RTP termination type thing for audio to give feedback there. But
Have you guys disabled the RTCP? I'm not expecting that. We don't do RTCP termination for audio, but you never know what kind of crazy things might. Well, normally no crazy thing should happen. But have you disabled that? Like, have you run with no RTCP termination? Have you tried that?
You mean turn off the RTCP termination setting, the basic RTC strategy?
RTCP termination and simulcast if you're using it. So those two settings. Maybe
Turn that off to see if we get RTCP for mixed audio.
if you just don't have anything off the top of my head,
yeah, that's fine. I was just giving a heads up that I don't know if we'll, I don't know. We'll have to figure out what we're gonna do. I don't know if we're gonna end up doing like a full, if it'll be easy to get kind of something good, or we'll just kind of have to hack something for now. So I don't know if we'll have a PR for it or not. But that was just kind of a general heads up on something we'd found.
If you continue doing that, and if it's something you want to solve, we like most likely the problem is going to be in FMJ. Something is broken there because, as Boris said, it should be sending RTCP for the stream that it generates. So maybe we broke something there. So in case you need some help, like going down there.
This isn't for the stream that it's generating, right? This is for the stream that it's receiving, or is that what you meant? Like the incoming stream from the client?
Oh, okay, yeah. So what kind of RTCP is not being generated? What would you expect to?
Well, the thing that we're most noticing is missing is just, I mean, even just like the loss reports, because we're tracking down audio issues, and I think although we have found some interesting things with this too that may not be there, but I think Chrome tunes for C based on like the loss reports, and it does. So when we have uplink, C doesn't get dialed up, but.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah. No, I just wonder what could be suppressing them, because they've been working more or less accurately, but they've been working reliably. So I just wonder what it could be that's breaking them. Anyways, Brian, did you see Lubo's suggestion about trying to do?
Yeah,
trying to have the bridge the client.
It ends up being a non-issue for us because we're just about to swap out the mixer with our own with a separate implementation, anyways, from the Dolby stuff, and it shouldn't have that same issue with being sluggish to start up once in a while. So that was again just.
So it's going to have a different path for you. It's not going to go through the bridge at all.
No, we'll go through the bridge. We just affected. And so it's been kind of inserted in roughly similar.
How does that solve your
the issue is that there is some so I just cut there, but I think it's something in like the mixer. New mixer is separately and it's done async. So as of now, at least we have no reason to delay there. Seem to.
But what made you think that this is at all related to the content? Already.
It isn't, because I don't know if you saw that thing, but like there's a stream for transport. So that's what's, and again, this is also, it's kind of typical one in the it's better. This one you hate isn't until 5 or 6 seconds later, and so it's kind of all
I
those
see.
things.